Movement Matters, the importance of movement for infants and toddlers, a training designed for staff at a child care center serving infants and toddlers. Why is movement important? Early movement experiences are critical to optimal motor development and also to optimal brain development. Without these experiences, children may not reach their full potential later in life. Infant and toddler caregivers have the opportunity to provide experiences that support the development of these areas. So first, let's just talk about why motor development is important. According to Penny Lodiner, an expert on infant and toddler development, locomotor stability and manipulative skills are foundational movement patterns that are essential for later motor development. Locomotor skills are movements that support the exploration of space by allowing movement from one place to another, such as creeping and crawling. Stability skills are movements that take place when the body operates from a stable base while different body parts move. So if your trunk were to stay still while you moved your arms and legs, such as reaching, pushing, or pivoting. Manipulative skills are comprised of those movements that support gross and fine motor contact with objects, such as being able to grasp, release, and kick. Without opportunities for movement, these skills are less likely to be developed in infants and toddlers. According to the National Association for the Education of Young Children, young infants learn through movement. As they move their arms, legs, and other body parts, and through touching and being touched, babies become more aware of how their bodies move and feel. They soon discover they can change what they see, hear, or feel through their own activity. Young infants today face even less opportunities for movement due to their regularly being placed in containers. Often, young infants go from the car seat to the stroller to the exerciser at home and then to their crib. This equipment supports them and they have less need to use their muscles. Once an infant is mobile, he or she is ready to explore. Much of the child's focus at this stage of development is moving. Many motor skills will emerge and be refined during this small window of time between about 8 and 18 months. It's important to allow movement during this time because it's through practice that the child will become proficient at low-level skills that will give way to higher-level skills. For example, Penny Lodiner, that expert I talked about earlier, she says that the patterns of motor development dictate that first gross motor development happens and then fine motor development occurs. Therefore, a child must have opportunities to master large movements before they can be expected to do small muscle movements such as writing and zipping, skills that we find very valuable as the students grow. Once we get into toddlerhood, there are going to be other reasons why motor development is important. Toddlers need to understand how to use their bodies in space. It's important that they understand how to go under, over, and around objects. Without opportunities for practice, these skills can be slow to develop. Toddlers need many experiences in turning, twisting, bending, and stretching in order to further develop their stability skills. Balance is developing further at this stage. Toddlers especially need opportunities to work on fine motor skills. These are skills that we often use in self-help procedures such as washing our hands and dressing. So we've established why motor development is important. So let's talk about brain development. I don't have to convince you all that brain development is important, but you might not know that movement in all stages of childhood is linked to optimal brain development. None of us are neurologists, so I'm going to keep this simple. Scientists now believe that in order to achieve mature brain functions, stimulation in the form of movement and sensory experiences during the early developing years is necessary. Gaining experience at movement and sensory perception causes the connection in the brain to become stronger, and these connections are then integrated into the brain's normal circuitry. So what does all this mean to us? Basically, it means that while we are these children's caregivers, they are in the midst of all of this brain development. In fact, scientists believe that there's a window of opportunity wherein which children can make the greatest gains in this area. Guess what? It's from birth to age 5. Not only do we have a hand in the physical development of the infants and toddlers in our care, but also the brain development. That makes all this seem a little more serious, doesn't it? So, we've got this big charge on us. What can we do about it? We can do our best to offer these children the maximum benefit of optimal motor and brain development by introducing movement early and creating many, many opportunities for practice and refinement. So now that we know why all of this is so important, let's see how we can support our infants and toddlers in movements. It's a great video I want you guys to look at.
The sensitive period for movement is very obvious, that children have to experience movement to develop the ability to move. In the first year or two, they have to create the function. And so they have to develop all the different movement skills to finally be able to come upright. And so we say that the most important thing for infants is to allow them the maximum possibility of movement. That means we look at their clothing, because very often clothing inhibits their movement. We like for the children to sleep like on a low bed or a mattress on the floor so they can get in and out. And we remove any kind of containers that inhibits their movement. So we wouldn't put them in saucers because they really need to get on the floor, to squirm, to crawl, to creep. And that's what develops the ability to move and coordinates their body and their mind. We know that creeping and crawling on the floor also helps the child's visual development, because the eyes are also a muscle, and that children that creep and crawl have a more natural experience in coordinating the two eyes, as well as all their other muscles. The child's feeling the different textures of the floor and the tile floor, the wood floor. The child's experiencing not just the textures but the temperature as they creep and crawl around, because rugs may be warm, tile is cold, and so all those things are naturally being experienced through the child's exploration. We develop the hand as a tool. The hand is a tool of the mind, you might say. And so very early, we help children to learn, even by like 6 months. We may provide a small fork for the child and something to eat that they can stick the fork in. Things fall off a spoon. Mostly when they start, they aren't able to rotate their wrists. And so we start like with maybe little pieces of banana, and I sit across from them and I pierce the banana with a fork and I hand it to them straight on so they can reach with their left or right hand. They take the fork and they can get it to their mouth. And so they learn to use a fork then to eat. So again, their job is to learn to care for their bodies. Our job is to help them to do that, not to do it for them, not to do everything for them. So they learn the first basic things to survive. Once a child can stand upright, that frees their hands to begin to really manipulate everything in the environment. And so we give them many kinds of tools as an extension of their hand. Maybe a tong or something that they can pick up things with and develop all the stages of the hand. The child is involved in large motor activities. In creeping and crawling, for them that would be large motor. When they can stand and walk, they start very quickly into running, jumping, climbing, are large motor activity for a child. And very often they climb up into something and down, in and out, and you think, well, what is it? Well, they're practicing all the movements required. And so we provide an environment that encourages that kind of movement. And once they reach around 18 months and they seem to be steady on their feet and they can walk, then they start picking up and pushing everything they can that's heavy. We say it's a period of maximum effort. And so again, they'll push chairs, pick up chairs, and we provide heavy things for them. If we're going to move furniture, their tables and chairs, we ask them to help. So they carry the tables and chairs. They'd rather move all the furniture than do anything else almost at that sensitive period. And so we provide for that. Sometimes we fill large containers with sand if they have a handle that they can pick up and lug and drag. It's like nature says, now you can walk, now let's do some strengthening of the muscles, some weightlifting. If you're carried about, not left to crawl, if everything's done for you, the child experiences inhibition. You're trained to be passive and expect people like, do something for me. And so again, you affect the initiative, development of curiosity. So you have to look at it from the psychological aspect as well as the physiological.
So there was so much good stuff in that video. We saw infants having free time to move, mobile infants crawling and pulling up on furniture, and toddlers moving large objects. These are some ways that we can support movement among the children in our program. Let's get more examples of how we can support each age group. Tummy time is one way to support movement in young infants. It's a quick video we're going to watch, and then we're going to talk about it for a minute and then give some other examples of how we can support young infants in movement.
When you're putting your baby to bed, it's best that they sleep on their back. But when they're awake, they should spend time in a variety of positions. Being on their tummies helps promote healthy physical and sensory development, upper body strength, and fine motor skills. It will also help prevent them from developing a flat spot on their head. Aim to have your baby spend about 90 minutes each day, spread over the day, on his tummy. This will be easier to do if you make it fun. Try giving him something interesting to look at. A toy, a mirror, or just you. Or lie him down over a rolled towel or cushion over your knee or on your chest. Not all babies like being on their tummies at first. You can encourage them by being sure to roll them over slowly so you don't startle them, and by putting them on a firm, flat surface. It's a good idea to start with short periods of time and gradually lengthen them. And try including tummy time when you change, dress, or hold them. Once your baby can lift his head and push up his own arms, you can put mirrors and toys around them. This will encourage him to shift his weight and reach for things. Most babies love to play peekaboo, a great tummy activity. Once your baby has good head control and can sit up, you can play airplane with him.
Tummy time is great for your baby, but not all babies love it at first. You can make it fun by giving your baby toys to look at or lying him over a cushion or on your knees. Older babies love games like peekaboo. To learn more, visit www.aboutkidshealth.ca.
Okay, so tummy time is an easy way to support movement. We can all do it in our classrooms with our infants. And obviously we can integrate some of the tips that she gave in the video, like using toys or playing peekaboo. In addition to tummy time, I'm going to list a few other ways that we can support movement in young infants. So we can place objects at a greater distance so the infant has to move to get the object while prone. We can use push toys to encourage infants to pivot and move forward. Move with infants, dance and walk with them so that they're intrigued with movement and can feel your body moving and share your enjoyment of moving. A fun way to encourage stability movements is to put scrunchies or bright socks on the infant's wrists and ankles and encourage them to move their arms and legs. We can play music and sing, model moving to the infant while they're on their bellies. We can call to infants so that they have to twist and turn to visually make contact with us. We can place or hold objects so that infants have to stretch, bend, or balance to reach them while they're able to sit, and obviously that's for infants who can sit up on their own. Teethers are great ways that we can promote movement. We can give them to the infants because they're easy to grasp, and then they can develop, like moving them from a stretched out arm to their mouth. And we can provide a variety of objects that infants can grasp that are different shapes, sizes, and textures. Now, let's talk about mobile infants. Kicking balls and retrieving them is a fun and easy way to support mobile infants in movement. And here's a really fun video to watch. And this is something, if you think about it, we can do this in our classrooms, and we can do this outside. We go outside with our kids every day. So this is something we can do outside too. Take a look. It's real quick.
1, 2. One, two, three. Come on.
Okay, so something kind of went crazy with that video, but anyway, you saw the little girl kicking the balls, retrieving them. This is an activity that can be done with only 2 people, or even a group. You and a group of mobile infants could play this game. And what I thought was really cool about this video was you saw the mom scaffolding her language and literacy as they played this game. She was modeling counting, the little girl was repeating it, and this is how movement, especially something fun that the child really likes, goes across the physical development domain, and we can integrate other development into that as well. So besides the kicking the balls and retrieving them, there are a number of other ways that we can support motor development in children. In mobile infants. So we can support emergent motor skills by providing crawlers with moving toys that can be pushed or pulled on the floor, and toys that can creep or crawl that they can creep and crawl after. We can support emerging walkers with toys that give them support as they walk, such as heavy baby carriages, or even, you see here in the picture, a walking toy. Push and kick balls back and forth, throw them, roll them, play games with them. We can play easy games of mirroring and following the leader, and we can stretch high and then reach low and have them follow those movements, such as squatting down and jumping up. We can play easy games where infants try to make their bodies as big as they can and then as small as they can. Obviously, these are things that you probably would have to model for them. We can provide mobile infants with many opportunities to practice reaching, grasping, and releasing, giving them small objects such as measuring cups, blocks, or spoons to manipulate in their hands. Provide foam boards and simple wooden puzzles with knobs. This is something that mobile infants really enjoy when they first figure out that they can use those knobs to take all those little pieces out. So that's how we can support mobile infants. Now let's talk about toddlers. Playing music and encouraging free movement is a really fun way to get toddlers going. When you watch this video, these kids look like they are having a blast, and this is definitely something that we can do. I know that we integrate a lot of finger plays and things like this, but integrating free movement with music, it seems like it would be really fun, and the kids would respond to it well. So, Penny Low Diner, the expert we've talked about this entire time, says that playing music and having toddlers march, dance, or free move to the music at a vigorous pace is a really good way to promote movement in toddlers, and that we could play the music for 2 or 3 minutes and just keep it going the entire time. Most of the music CDs and stuff that we have, the songs are really no longer than 3 minutes or so. So pick one that the kids really like and just let them go crazy. In addition to free movements and music, we can take parks in the neighborhood, make soft obstacle courses where toddlers can crawl over pillows and through cardboard boxes and on mats and even mattresses and cots and things like that. We can do the twists of music, or even without music. You want them to twist fast and slow, gently and strongly, high and low. Yoga is even great. A yoga program designed for children. It gets the kids really in tune with their bodies, their body parts, perceptual development. We can encourage the children to balance on different body parts, give them wooden rubber pegs and pegboards and puzzles, provide them with toys to stack. We know that kids during the toddler ages love to stack objects. So, things such as nesting toys, measuring cups, and small blocks, and stringing beads is another way that we can really promote the fine motor development in toddlers. So all of these all of these activities that I've listed are supported by what NACI believes is appropriate for children between the ages of birth to 3 years old, but they also align with the new set of guidelines, physical activity guidelines set forth by the National Association for Sport and Physical Education. This organization responded to the lack of movement in children from birth to age 5 by creating guidelines. And so these activities that we've detailed here today and you saw videos of, they also align with those guidelines as well. So to sum all of this up, we here at our center, we have an enormous opportunity to help the children that we care for develop at an optimal level. We can take the information that we've learned today, some of it new, some of it stuff that we've heard before, but we can take it today and make a point to implement it into our classrooms, be better early childhood educators, and better prepare our kids for what is coming next. So that's my charge to you today, to take this and use it, to find creative ways to implement it, and even come back to me and show me, hey, we've got new activities, the kids love this, I want to hear your feedback and your thoughts about it. So take this and do well with it.